the 22nd day of July 2013. This is KTN Prime. My name is James Smart.
I'm Linda Goodhill. Thank you so much for joining us. We have lots lined up for you, but first, let's take a look at the top stories tonight.
It ain't over yet. Jubilee seeks to block Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
I've declined to respond to those allegations. I've also declined to write any statement.
Standoff at the CID, why Raila aide won't write statements.
Holding the purse string, is there a new move to cripple teachers union?
And still in this bulletin, Mombasa's B movie gets more bizarre. Many thanks for joining us. We begin in the courts where a new petition has been filed to stop Mutula Kilonzo Jr. from taking part in the Makueni senatorial by-election.
Well, former legislator Agnes Netei, who has lodged the suit, claims that the High Court made a mistake in allowing Wiper Party to field a candidate in the race. Netei
is the same petitioner who successfully challenged the nomination of Kathy Kilonzo as the party's candidate. KTN's Aaron Ucheng has been keeping an eye on that for us. Matt, you want to talk to Aaron?
All right. Now let's talk to our reporter who's been talking to the Makueni residents. Now, Aaron, if you can hear me, the campaign today has been just sort of like the first campaign for Junior Kilonzo, if you like, joining the other four candidates. But has he received this news that really Agnes Netei has gone to court and the IBC to stop him from being at the ballot?
Well, James Smart, today morning, Mutula Kilonzo Jr., together with former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, Machakos Senator Johnston Mufama, plus other CORD leaders, started off their campaigns just a few meters from Mutula Kilonzo's matrimonial home, just where his father was buried, and he traversed different parts of Makueni County, including Wote Town, which is the headquarters of Makueni. But late in the afternoon, after we learned that Agnes Netei has actually gone to the court to challenge Mutula's eligibility, sort of things changed here in Makueni. Residents also are up in arms, are saying that Jubilee coalition is after their candidate, even after Casey was denied a candidature. Then his brother now is coming in, and they're saying that they are suspecting that a Jubilee coalition is planning not for Wiper Party not to field any particular candidate. Later on, here in Wote Town, where I'm actually based, Philip Kaloki was to hold a campaign rally here in the afternoon, but he didn't show up because irate youths tore his posters, and the venue where he was supposed to hold the rally turned into chaos as rowdy youths vowed not to allow Philip Kaloki into this particular venue. So that was the interesting turn of events this afternoon, and unfortunately, Philip Kaloki did not show up for his last venue of the campaign today here in Wote Town.
All right, Aaron Ocheng, they are holding brief for us in Makueni, where residents there are just about to go to the polls this coming Friday.
And of course, later on in this bulletin, Aaron Ocheng will be bringing you a story from Makueni. Of course, the new twist that now casts a new uncertainty in the Makueni senatorial race. Stay with us for that story. Let's focus elsewhere. And the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has told off the CORD coalition for discrediting how the March 4th election was conducted. The commission, while meeting news editors, said it believes the poll was credible and fair. KTN's Asha Mwilu reports.
They have come under fire over the last 2 weeks, but they're sticking to their script.
The BVR was 100% successful.
IEBC made good their promise and met the Editors Guild. But even in this meeting, the Electoral Commission could not escape the ghosts of the last election that has been haunting it.
The world has never witnessed a really perfect election. All elections have faults here and there, I was looking forward to an announcement at the end of March that we had conducted the best, the most efficient election that Africa has ever witnessed.
But while IEBC is struggling with damage control, Jubilee and CORD leaders are still splitting hairs over IEBC's performance in the election.
Kuna mambo ya ufisadi mingi zaidi ndani ya tume ya uchaguzi, na tumesema hatuwezi kurudi kwa uchaguzi tena Kenya hii kabla tujasafisha hii tume ya uchaguzi.
We are going to teach him the law. If you want to disband IEBC, bring a petition to Parliament under Article 251. Na ujue pale kuna tyranny of numbers.
You cannot know whether IEBC is TNA or TNA is IEBC. Huwezi kujua kama Hassan ni chairman ya TNA ama ni chairman ya IEBC.
What is this that people have to swear on a Bible about? What is this that must make IEBC be disbanded? Because if it must be disbanded because Jubilee won elections, then please be very careful even about Makueni.
As the back and forth continues, the Electoral Commission is looking to save face in the upcoming Makueni by-election. The Isaac Hassan-led commission is negotiating with Safaricom after the service provider pulled out of a contract for live transmission in the by-election. Ashamwilu, KTN Prime.
All right, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's aide, Eliud Owalo, has once again declined to record a statement with the police over an alleged plot to destabilize the government. Owalo, who was for the second time summoned to appear before the Criminal Investigation Department, denied 11 allegations leveled against him. His lawyers say the allegations do not disclose a crime. Owalo says he's willing to record a statement if the state establishes an offense.
Outside the CID headquarters, supporters of Eliud Owalo sang in solidarity. This was the second time in as many weeks the aide to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga was appearing at the Criminal Investigation Department headquarters. Owalo was summoned over an alleged plot to destabilize the government. He was questioned for close to 2 hours in the presence of his lawyers. During the grilling, investigators listed 11 allegations against Owalo, among them the intention to mobilize youths in urban areas, slums and congested areas of Kenya to civil disobedience, plans to provoke the police into long-running battles with a view to causing commotion, the intention to recreate pre-multi-party era chaos, intention to cause a popular revolution and to incorporate the civil society into his agenda.
They do not disclose any crime or an offense of any kind. 2, they agreed with us that they do not have a complainant they know.
Owalo, who was the campaign manager for Raila Odinga's presidential bid in the March general election, denied the allegations. And just like last week, he declined to record a statement.
I've declined to respond to those allegations. I've also declined to write any statement because the truth of the matter is that I'm a stranger to those allegations. It's very clear that they are unable to establish any offense for which I was summoned here. As and when they establish any offense, I'm willing to come back and engage them in further discourse.
Leaders who accompanied Owalo to the CID headquarters now claim the move to interrogate Owalo is part of a bigger plot targeted at key leaders of the CORD coalition.
You're starting with Mr. Owalo as a decoy, yet Raila Odinga is the actual target.
What we've been called for here today are allegations that have not been substantiated, and they're causing a lot of worry for us as Kenyans.
Just over a week ago, Owalo had written a newspaper opinion piece calling for the dissolution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, a demand Raila himself has repeated on several occasions. Rita Tinina, KTN.
Now to what seems to be a new battlefront in the teachers' salaries saga. KTN has learned that the government is considering stopping the check-off system through which teachers remit contributions to their union NUT. Under the plan, the Teacher Service Commission would be directed to stop deducting the union dues from teachers' salaries, thereby starving NUT of millions of shillings every month. The move came as the union and its officials were fined by the industrial court for disobeying orders to end their strike. But as KTN's Angel Katusi reports, union officials remain defiant.
From the tough-talking unionists who commanded a 3-week teachers' strike to temporary guests of the state, Kenya National Union of Teachers Chairman Wilson Sosion and the Secretary General Mudzo Nzili confined in court cells awaiting the processing of their fine. But now KTN has learned that the giant union may have been boxed into an even tighter corner. Government sources tell KTN that plans are underway to instruct the Teachers Service Commission to stop the check-off system through which NAT gets its monthly contribution from teachers. If the directive is carried out, TSA will no longer deduct the 2% of teachers' salaries it normally remits to NAT. That move would starve NAT of the millions of shillings it gets from teachers every month. Union bosses say they have not been informed of the decision but vow to fight it if it comes. NAT Chairman Wilson Sosion says the check-off system was secured by teachers through a strike in 1963 and will be protected by another strike if need be. Earlier, the teachers' union was found guilty of contempt of court. Its leaders, Sosion and Nzili, were ordered by the industrial court to pay 500,000 shillings each or be imprisoned for 30 days. NAT, on its part, was fined 5 million shillings for defying a court directive to end the teachers' strike. The union leadership played down the development, terming it as a little bump in the journey for their rights.
In the pursuit and in the desire and in the spirit to continue fighting for the rights of teachers, we are even more energized.
Had our last lesson, where did we stop?
Learning has now resumed in most schools across the country, but the latest report on union finances may serve to cause more anxiety in the education sector. The Minister of Education is set to hold a stakeholders meeting Tuesday to discuss ways of compensating pupils for the lost time. Angel Katuse, KTN Prime.
The Big Q, in association with Nguvu Cement.
Well, that story leads us to a big question tonight, and we ask you, do you support the court's decision to fine the teachers' union and its leaders?
Send a yes or no response with a brief comment to the number 8040. You can tweet us at KTN Kenya, at James Smart, at Linda Ogutu, and we will sample some of your views during this newscast, and of course give you the poll results at the end of this bulletin.
Choose Nguvu for undoubted strength.
Well, let's stay with the education section. Amid teachers' troubles, a new report out today paints a grim picture of the state of teaching in public schools. Now, the study by Uwezo Kenya suggests that teachers' absenteeism is to blame for the growing illiteracy in schools. KTN's Zipporah Karani reports on this study that has angered the teaching fraternity.
At the Moi Avenue Primary School in Nairobi, every child seems to know the answer to the question, just what does each of the colors of the Kenyan flag stand for?
Black means peace. People. White means peace. Green means vegetation. Red means blood.
But according to a new study, these pupils may just be among the lucky ones. The report by Uwezo Kenya suggests that more than 20% of learners in class 6 and 8 cannot tell the meaning of each of those colors.
White means peace. Black means people. Red means blood.
And the second question was point to one color. And we asked them, what does this mean on the Kenyan flag?
Red is for blood and green is for the vegetation.
And according to the education lobby, it is all down to teacher absenteeism. The trend is more common in Narok at 21% and Nairobi at 17%.
Unless we help to shift the debate from inputs going into education, laptops, teachers, classes, and all that, to outcomes, the proportion of children benefiting from the schooling experience now, then we are not going to help Kenya.
The findings seem to have rattled teachers who came out to defend themselves against the damning revelations.
We as administrators, we have our monitoring tool, what we call our monitoring tool. We go to those classes, we check even the people's books. So there's nothing like teachers in public schools don't work.
The push to have mean scores and higher mean scores and shine in KCP and KCSE, does it actually contradict the very essence of learning?
Even their union bosses are not amused.
That is why they want to justify the introduction of computers to replace teachers. We are aware about all that.
The report coming in the wake of a teacher strike over pay has raised new questions about the amount of teaching that actually takes place in public schools. Zipporah Karani, KTN, Nairobi.
Let's go to Mombasa now, and this next story sounds like a scene out of the movies. Just a day after we brought you that story about bees that don't sting, the man who expelled them from a house now says he has been struck by a strange illness. Eric Mnyesi says his ailment has everything to do with the bees. Sharon Momanyi has our update on the seemingly bizarre bees.
It was something of a bee movie when we first reported it.
Nikasema hao nyuki wa vipi? Mbona wamefuata supu? Ambapo nyuki kawaida hawezi fuata chumvi, nyuki anafuata nini? Sukari.
That was Eric Mnyesi, a resident of Bengala in Mshomoroni, Mombasa, who was very vocal in proclaiming that this bizarre swarm of bees was in fact an act of witchcraft. And he was perfectly fine. And now Eric Mnyesi is anything but fine. He says he started ailing soon after the incident, in which he helped expel the insects that had infested the house and cooking area of Mariam Ali, who cooks for sale outside her house, and alleged the bees were sent by her rivals to scare away her clients and paralyze her business.
Pale tukachana pale, mimi ndo nilibidi niondoke pale kwa sababu nilikuwa naanza kusikia ile kitu baada ya wale nyuki. Nikaja zangu nyumbani nakwambia kutoka jana mpaka sasa hivi sijalala mimi. Alafu kama pia na imani juu make naumia.
The area chief says cases of such strange incidents are on the rise within the region.
Nasikia kwamba alisaidia yule mama ambaye alikuwa na zile nyama. Wakati nyuki walipokuwa wamevamia ile sufuria, yeye alichukua makaratasi na kuwasha moto ili wale nyuki waondoke. Na wale nyuki hawakuondoka. Sasa baada ya kulala ndiye ikatokeza kwamba yeye ndio yaumwa huko sehemu za siri za chini, kunafura na kwingine kumepotea kwa sababu ya hao nyuki.
The coastal area is known for its widely held beliefs in supernatural powers. But when it comes to bees, well, it turns out they're not just about honey. Sharon Momanyi, KTN Prime.
The Big Q, in association with Nguvu Cement.
Well, truly bizarre, Linda.
It is bizarre. The man was speaking yesterday. He looked like he was okay. Look at him today. He looks like he's spent, done.
Very bizarre.
All right, that's the story from Mombasa. We'll keep an eye on the man for you and let you know how he's doing. Let's focus on our big question tonight. The Industrial Court has fined both the teachers' union and its leaders. And on our big question tonight, we're asking you, do you support the court's decision to fine the teachers' union and its leaders?
Right, we ask you to send us your views or responses in the brief comment to the number 8040. Lead and I will sample your views during this live newscast. You can also tweet us at KTN Kenya or at Linda Ogutu or at James Smart. Welcome back. You're watching KTN Prime.
Now, in 1963, Jomo Kenyatta was sentenced to prison in Kapenguria, together with 5 others, a group that would come to be known as the Kapenguria Six.
Well, their sentence coincided with the beginning of a young man's quest to fulfill his dream of becoming a medical officer.
Stationed in Kapenguria, Dalmas Alodo found himself in a position to deliver letters from the man who would become Kenya's first president to the freedom fighters. This is his story, as told by Wilkie Tanyabwa.
Dalmas Alodo is a study in contrast. He accepts modern conveniences easily, but is reluctant to give up facets of the life he has lived. And 78-year-old Dalmas has lived a full life, full of adventure and intrigues and danger. When he was younger, Dalmas sneaked letters from the man who would become Kenya's first president, Jomo Kenyatta, then jailed in Kapenguria. On 8th of April 1953, the British colonial government sent Jomo Kenyatta to prison for his part in the organization of the Mau Mau movement. He and 5 others, Bildad Kagia, Kungo Karumba, Fred Kubai, Paul Ngei, and Achieng' Oneko, went off to serve their sentences in Kapenguria. And as this took place across the region, a young man studied diligently, hoping to become a clinical officer. Dalmas Alodo took one step closer to his dream when he secured an internship in Kapenguria. The young student was tasked with delivering medication to Kenyatta.
When we were in attachment, I was sent to Kitale, transferred to Kitale. During that time, from Kitale we went to Kapenguria, where Kenyatta was held. We used to take some few drugs, tablet for him when they are sick.
This put him in a position to deliver documents and letters from Kenyatta to the world.
How I was doing it was very simple, because when we had a uniform, we were given a uniform by this our government, the colonialist. We wear the white apron, then we can put the letters in the pocket. Nobody could suspect you, and we were simply, we can take them away, out from the from Mzee Kenyatta.
Curious about the contents of the letters that he so faithfully delivered, Dalmas once opened a letter.
Some were written by Mzee Kenyatta. You don't give up, you keep fighting until you shall expel these people. I could remember such words.
The letters were to be delivered to contacts in Nairobi who would ensure that they arrived at their destinations.
Basically, every week we go to Nairobi. Then after reaching to Nairobi, we could simply get some few people. I could simply remember Dr. Kiano was very close to us. Can simply hand the note to him and give out to those people.
In 1959, the Kapenguria Six were moved to northern Kenya, and Dalmas's contact was broken. But Tom Mboya and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga kept up the pressure for the release of the detainees. The colonial government bowed to the pressure and released Kenyatta in 1961. The remaining members of the Kapenguria Six would be released afterwards. Kenyatta went on to become the first president of Kenya. Bildad Kagia and Paul Ngei served as ministers in his cabinet. Achieng' Oneko was detained by Kenyatta between 1969 and 1974 and later served as MP for Rarieda. Kungo Karumba disappeared in 1975 in Uganda, while Fred Kubai served as MP for Nakuru East before he died in 1996. Back in Nyanza, Dalmas had gone on to secure the coveted job as a clinical officer, earning an enviable salary of 220 shillings each month. And thus the story would have ended. But in 1969, Dalmas got to meet the man whose letters he had delivered when Kenyatta visited Kisumu.
I met Kenyatta after independence when Kenyatta came to Kisumu. That was 1969. And it is unfortunate when we met Mzee, and we used to greet him because he knew us when we could remember when we smuggled the letter from him. Unfortunate, by then, that time, there was trouble started by our people saying, Dume, Dume, and so on.
Dalmas would later forge a friendship with the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, once again reprising his role as a messenger as he delivered important parcels across the country. As his responsibilities increased, Dalmas purchased parcels of land and quietly went into sugarcane farming, casting aside his exciting youth. Today, as he watches Jomo Kenyatta's son take up the reins of power, Dalmas draws the connection between the modern Kenya, whose conveniences he enjoys, and the one that is past, with its memories of his contribution to what is today. Wilkisa Nyabo for the 50-year series.
Wilkisa Nyabo there with Kenya at 50 series, of course, looking at the story of a man who delivered letters from the first president of the Republic of Kenya.
Indeed, a fascinating story. That is Kenya at 50. Well, would you take a short break on that note? KTN Prime does continue. to join us next after the break. On the side of the break, I'll be telling you all matters business.
Stay with us.
Whereas every electoral management body sets out to conduct a perfect election, the world has never witnessed a really perfect election. All elections have faults here and there, and that is why in election management world over, immediately after an election, there is an activity, a mandatory activity called the post-election evaluation.
All right, this is KTN Prime. Time now for your business brief. Now, after a year of mismanagement, loss-making and stunted growth, National Bank of Kenya is in the process of transforming itself into one of the top-tier banks in the country in the next 5 years. Now, as it plays catch-up in a dynamic market where innovations and aggressive marketing is the order of the day, our reporter Philip Keitani spent some time with the bank's managing director, Munir Ahmed, and brings us the following report.
With a facelift earlier in the year, National Bank now says it's ready to take up its rightful position in the country as the bank of choice, not only for government and government institutions. The bank's managing director, Munir Ahmed, is bullish the bank's new strategy will transform it into one of the top-tier banks in the country in the next 5 years, as it seeks to grow its turnover from 8 billion shillings in 2012 to 31 billion shillings by 2017, as well as becoming a diversified commercial bank with balanced corporate and retail businesses.
We've drawn out a very clear roadmap to that transformation, which has got key pillars, and within those pillars, projects. Overall, there will be a large number of projects we are pursuing.
Through its strategy, the bank hopes to grow the bank's balance sheet by opening up new branches, managing risk as well as streamlining costs, as it prepares to raise close to 10 billion shillings in additional capital through a rights issue in the first quarter of 2014.
The overall growth rate we're talking about is 33% compounded annual growth rate for 5 years. What that means is a huge balance sheet growth. And to grow your balance sheet, as you know, you need to have the capital base.
National Bank plans to open 30 new branches by 2017 and boosting its agency banking network to 3,000 agents by the end of 2014.
Mobile banking, we already have that proposition. It's called Simple Banking. And it's just a question of increasing its functionality and migrating into a bigger switch, which we've already done the migration bit of it.
Philip Keitani, KTN Business Today.
While merger of the Barclays business in Africa with that of the Absa Group is scheduled to take shape at the end of the month, following approvals by the regulators, the deal, said to be worth $1.9 billion, will see Barclays relinquish ownership of its African operations to Absa in exchange for a 62.3% shareholding in South Africa's third largest lender, according to Absa. Banking regulators in 9 countries, including in Botswana and Kenya, where Barclays has local listings, have given the deal the nod. The transaction, however, excludes Barclays businesses in Egypt and Zimbabwe due to volatile politics in those countries. Reflecting the enlarged group's pan-African focus, Absa Group will change its name to Barclays Africa Group Limited on the 2nd of August. The Absa brand will still be used in South Africa, while the strong Barclays brand will remain across the continent. Well, in a move to facilitate and expand regional trade, the Kenya Ports Authority has opened a liaison office in Kigali, Rwanda, to serve the growing market there. Landlocked Rwanda uses the port of Mombasa as its main artery to bring in goods into the country, with imports growing by an average of 9% per annum, registering 260,000 tons in 2012, up from 226,000 tons in 2011. Now, the liaison office in Kigali, located at the Grand Pension Plaza, will be used to facilitate imports into the country, as well as serve the Democratic Republic of Congo in shipping of its goods. Now, the opening of office comes after the trilateral trade agreement between Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda, which emphasized on the need to improve port services and infrastructure to facilitate trade in the region. Now, the Port of Mombasa has been dogged by cases of inefficiencies, which has led to delayed movement of goods within the region. Uganda and Rwanda have in the past aired their dissatisfaction over the quality of service of the port, and have even begun talks with Tanzania to instead use the port of Dar es Salaam. Opening up the liaison office is seen as a stopgap measure by the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure to restore confidence and safeguard business at the port of Mombasa.
I have come here to appeal. On the side of government in Kenya, we've done what we could do, and we are going to continuously improve on the services that we provide.
All right, now let's take a look at your financial market.
All right, it's now time for KTN Sports Today. I'm Nicholas Mudimba. AK has officially opened the World Championships Marathon Camp in E10, where 6 athletes have been in residential training. And AK chairman Isaac Kilpagat has allayed fears that the bound team to Moscow will underperform due to the absence of arguably big names in the midst.
Athletics Kenya settled on national marathon team debut on 2012 Tokyo Marathon champion Michael Kipyego, who replaced two-time world champion Abel Kirui, together with San Diego Rock and Roll half marathon champion Bernard Koech, Bernard Kipyego alongside Peter Some. AK soon received criticism concerning the team naming, but its supreme Isaiah Kiplagat has affirmed that they have confidence in the marathon team.
We are sure that you will win, and you'll do even better. We want the boys to win 1, 2, 3. And the girls who win, there's nothing impossible.
AK, together with its officials from Nairobi and Elgeyo Marakwet County, officially opened the marathon team camp, which has been ongoing for close to a month now, in readiness for the World Athletics Championships in Moscow, Russia. AK further instructed athletes not to take part in any Diamond League meets before the World Championships.
That no Kenyan is going to participate in London Diamond League. And I've told the president of IAB we discussed. Because what happened in London is a testimony that, and the Kiblimo, you are a coach. If you run the fastest time 3 weeks before the actual competition, and Gipsang, you know it, the likelihood of even recovering to win in a championship event is almost impossible.
The women's marathon team includes defending champion Edna Kiplagat, former Commonwealth Games 10,000 meters winner Lucy Kabu, alongside newcomers Margaret Akai and Valentin Kipketer. The 9-member marathon team is under the watchful eye of coach Abraham Kiplimo. Victor Ugale, KTN Sports.
Moving on now, Gor Mahia has tightened the grip on the Tusker Premier League with a comfortable 2-0 win over Western's team. And the win, coupled by FC Leopards' win over Mathare United, has rejigged the league standings. Karaturi Sports and Homeboys are still wallowing at the basement of the log with 17 points of the 17 matches played in that match.
Gor Mahia's coach Bobby Williamson may be the happiest of the coaching lot. He inherited a well-oiled side, and his Midas touch seems to be the magic Gor Mahia needed. Rama Salim and Paul Mungai Kiongera seems to be pulling the right strings up front, as the Kogalo side that started the campaign on a sour note has cemented the lead at the league summit. Thika United, who have led the log for a long time, is now playing second fiddle to Gor Mahia, and the barren draw against bankers KCB did not help their case. AFC Leopards continue to soldier on, with Luke Aimel's charges now 5th on the log with 24 points in the bag. Their clinical finish against Mathare United was an indication of better things for Ingwe. At the basement of the log, Western's team on 12th with 18 points will hope for a better outing because they are above Sony Sugar and Moron Youth by a mere 1 point. Homeboys, who made their debut into the top flight football this season, still have a long way to go before they can navigate through the relegation murky waters. Karuturi Sports find themselves at the basement of the log and staring at the axe at the end of the season. In Interestingly, the top 5 teams are separated by only 8 points, while at the basement, Stima in position 12th and Katuri Sports on 16th are separated by a paltry 4 points. For KTN Sports today, I'm Hassan Juma.
Moving on now, the Kenya Rugby Union has unveiled a 250 million shillings partnership with pay channel Zuku for a period of 5 years. The pay channel will air all local rugby matches in the country. The partnership sees the pay TV provider becoming the official broadcast partner of KRU for a period of 5 years, in a deal that translates to a 50 million shillings investment per season. The partnership that was unveiled today takes effect from 2013 season to 2018. Under this agreement, Zuku will air the Bamburi Super Series, Algon Cup and Safaricom Sevens. The partnership extends to covering the Kenya Cup, Eric Shirley Shield, International Mombasa Sevens, as well as National Sevens Circuit.
We are looking for partners who can work with us, and we know modern sport is nothing without television. And we are happy to announce today that Zuku becomes our television partners, and they will work with the local terrestrial televisions so that the rugby content can reach every corner of Kenya.
Moving on now, Football Kenya Coast National Executive Committee member Hussein Terry is alleged to have been roughed up by known hooligans and believes his life is in danger. Terry has been at loggerheads with the Federation over its management and believes his staff stance could be the reason behind the attacks at the city centre.
I felt excited. So the following day when...
In Nairobi as well as in Mombasa, they are using another official who lost the election in Mombasa and is a close friend to my family. They are using also him to rough me up. Also, I would like anti-corruption. Since last Monday, we went and produced our file. We want them to speed up with the investigation so that the truth can be known.
All right, we're just about to be done here, but here's a response to your big question you've been texting and tweeting. We asked you tonight if you support the court's decision to find the teachers' union and its leaders. That has been our big question. There you go. 74% of you do not support. 26% of you support that. Linda, you have some responses.
Yeah, Osonto says, yes, it's time for every citizen, regardless of their status quo, to abide by the rule of law. Osborne says the money... Okay, Osborne is very funny. He says that money will be used to pay their allowances. It's a merry-go-round. Tali says, obviously not. Where were the costs when the MPs were threatening to add their salaries? Let me see if I can get one final one. There we go. Wamalwa says, absolutely no. The government can't be trusted. Was it part of the return to work formula that the government withdraws the case?
Choose Nguvu for undoubted strength.
Well, thank you very much for your company. We do appreciate your time tonight. My name is James Smith. Sleep well. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
I'm Linda Gutu. Sleep well. Thank you for watching.